Hello and welcome to part 2 of ADP Risers and Fallers.
Well, if you've seen the first part, hopefully you have. It's very interesting. We look forward to your comments and feedback on that. And today we're looking at the next 16 players off the board.
And so number 17 on the list, and
Yeah.
he's going to really be a problem player for fantasy drafters.
Okay, go
Melvin
for it.
Gordon.
Oh, well, I mean,
Gone down 8 spots.
well, the trouble now is that this is looking like a holdout. They've already said it looks like they're miles apart in terms of negotiating.
So $2 million a year, I think
that's
the figure they said.
It's a big deal, and the odds are that this holdout could be protracted. Those are the words that have been used. So I suspect he can hold out to week 10, but can't hold out anymore. Otherwise, he forfeits a year, which is a nightmare. So,
Well, he won't forfeit the year.
well, if he plays,
but he will hold out till
He will hold out.
He could pop. No,
and he doesn't have to play.
Not saying he will. He could
Yeah.
hold out till week 10.
But then he doesn't have to play. So
Because
he could
if he's
hold
not
out
getting a career, he's looking for a contract.
if the team don't support him here, then he's looking for a trade. Really, is what we're
Well,
looking at.
he's looking for a contract, going forward, isn't he? Someone
Yeah.
who's going to give him. This is his
So
big payday. isn't
now
it?
the answer to that question is: can you take a player that's got
Can
a
you
10
take him
week,
at 17?
a potential 10-week
At
technical
17.
suspension at 17
But
in any league?
the thing is, if you're right, if he plays,
It's
the
a
rewards
bargain.
are higher.
Yeah, it is. It's a bargain. If you're wrong, you've
This
lost
is
your.
how fantasy gets you.
Yeah.
Tell me, should I pick him at 17?
No, not at all. You can't risk that.
Oh.
No. He's got to fall further than that to be worth
How
value.
far?
Well, look at this. I mean, Hunt isn't back till what? Week 11?
Week 10. Week 10. I
Right,
think
so
he's
it's
out
a-
8 weeks,
And
there's
it's a
bye week.
similar situation, potentially. I know this is guaranteed, though, with Hunt. And
But
he's going
Hunt's
about
got
round...
somebody in front of him as well.
Yeah, and he's going about round 5. So this guy's got to fall at least another round or two, sure.
Yeah, he's a lot further in.
He's got to fall further than that before it's worth even the risk. At this stage,
a
it's
big
too
risk,
risky.
isn't it? Yeah.
You can't put your draft on that guy. You just can't at the moment.
Well, okay, let's get past the horrible risk and,
Yeah.
let's go on to the next bloke. I'm sure he's going to be
Better.
Todd Gurley. Has he got any no risk there?
Okay, well, wait for the bold prediction video. But if you haven't heard my instincts on this, are telling me something fairly simple. Look, the bold prediction will say it all, but I'm avoiding very seriously for this year. I'm not touching this guy at his ADP. I'm not going anywhere near him. I'm not drafting him in any league. I traded away in a couple of leagues where I had him last year. That was really quite
You
astute.
ruined my dynasty value on him.
I am avoiding him like the plague. Now, there are a lot of talk about recently he's come back to camp. You might notice you didn't see any video footage of him doing anything other than straight line running, and that was very slow. There was no cutting. Then there was a lot of talk the day after about what they're going to do with Darrell Henderson. Listen, let me tell you something. This is just going to keep building all the way to the start of the season, and then as soon as his knee flares up once.
So they said about Henderson,
Yeah.
he's going to do a Chris Thompson-like role.
Well, it's fabulous. So already you're talking about a guy who's going to take at least third down work away from Gurley, potentially have spells.
And that hurts his price as well.
Massively hurts his price. So could you put a second round price on a player that potentially might not even be a 2-down back? No, is the answer. You can't. So straight away, this should be a swerve. So no, and we haven't even heard the worst news yet because he hasn't even done any contact work. So there could be serious red flags yet. They're already there to be seen. A lot of people just aren't even prepared to accept it. They're just saying, he's back. And even in fantasy, he's still split an opinion. Wouldn't it be funny if he played all year and proved you wrong? Well, sure, that's great. I mean, I'm willing to accept, put my hands up and say, congratulations, Todd Gurley, you've gone against the grain, played with an arthritic knee. Well done. But even Sony Michel, who isn't regarded as serious as this, has had lots of problems. So
Okay, well, that's...
there's a worry here.
That's Melvin Gordon, not trusted. Todd Gurley, not trusted.
No.
At least the next player, he's got to be fairly reliable, isn't he? No,
This is going well,
it's
isn't it?
Dalvin Cook. I mean, it's not like he's
Well,
missed lots of time in
no,
the 2 years he's
he,
been in
he
the NFL.
has, but at least the one thing I will say about him, the one thing that gives you a little bit of hope, his value's right. Second round's good.
Oh,
He
not if he
played-
doesn't play it, isn't
He played the games at the end of last year. He started slow, but he played the
What
games.
about the
at
games
end
at the
last-
start of the year? What about them?
Yeah, but he was coming off the injury. I mean, he stayed healthy the rest of the year. He played through, played on. He got the rust off. He started to look the part in certain games. Yes, there was some learning curve. That goes with every player. Do I feel more confident? Yeah, Dalvin Cook, I think can deliver
Do you 100% trust him?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
Really?
I'm very comfortable round him.
I don't know if I could go that far.
I am more comfortable around him than a lot of other players who've had injuries. But his is different because he started with it before. He's shaken the rust off. This is his year. It's break or break year. but I'm prepared to give him a chance.
But make or break year by definition says there's some.
Yeah, but he played last year. It's not like the injury's still lingering over him. He played a lot of last year's. Game scripts tell you that. Logs tell you that. There's a lot of games that to like. He's a potential 3-down back. If you're slightly worried about him, which is fair call, I'm not knocking.
You can't not be.
Then take the rookie Mattison cheap, and have the two. Stack them together. No problem with that.
Yeah, I think that's fair, actually.
That's what I would do, and I would be prepared. If I've taken Cook and you're worried, then that's fair. Have the worry. In his case, because there's that concern in the back of your mind, certainly take Mattison later or slightly earlier than you normally would, just to make sure you got the two together. I wouldn't do the same with Gurley or Henderson, because Henderson's price is very, very high. So you don't want to pay twice. You only want one or the other. Don't take both. If you believe in Gurley,
taking one to cover Melvin Gordon.
If I'm doing it, I'd go against the grain, but that's me up through and through. I'm taking Justin Jackson. I believe Justin Jackson is the guy to own there, not Eckler. I think Eckler's very, very
Eckler has his role already, so he'll still have that
I
role.
much prefer Justin Jackson, because both are good. I mean, let me be honest, both could get you some fancy value.
They're likely in their share.
But you're paying such a cheap premium, you don't have to reach for them, so don't reach. Grab them where you can at their ADP and add them to your team and stash and see what happens.
Okay, well,
So far, so good.
We've got a guy that's holding out. We've got a guy with potentially serious knee injury. Yeah. We've got a guy that's played 2 years.
Looking solid in the second round.
We've got 2 years and not managed a full season.
Yeah.
And the next one is Tyreek Hill.
It's a very...
Dear me, this is a tough
he's
area.
Yeah, but this is okay. I mean, look, Tyreek Hill...
He's not okay.
Look, this is the thing, right? So Tyreek Hill... It's good value there. I mean, the truth is that's good value because it's a wide receiver.
If more information doesn't come out,
yes,
that's the worry.
I'm coming to that. I mean, Tyreek Hill, where he is in his ADP, is perfectly fine. You're getting a potential top 5. Can he give top 5 wide receiver numbers?
He was number 1 last year.
Unquestionably, yes.
You're
getting him in the second round. I'm all. That's fine. I'm okay with that. There is, of course, given his history, there is always something lingering in the background. The worry is more information, as you quite rightly say, comes forward, and it's goodbye your second round pick. Is there a risk with this guy? Absolutely, but
is the reward
he has been cleared of all charges up to this point, irrespective of what we think of that, whether we think that's ridiculous.
And a lot of people will do.
That's not mine to judge. The NFL has made its decision. They've said he's okay. He's cleared to play and practice. He has a great value there in the second round. To be honest with you, it is a slight gambler's pick. There is a little red flag over him, because you always worry something else popped up and you go, oh my God, I've just lost him for the season. But it isn't your first pick. I should have known better. It isn't your first pick. It is redraft, so he's only got last 16. Can he hold on for 16 weeks? That's all you need. I'm a little bit more confident taking him, but it's not a player. Like in my list of second round players, he isn't actually... when I say a little bit more confident, he's at the back end of that list, so I wouldn't be taking him here. So at that ADP,
be taking him at 20.
No, there are other players I prefer ahead of him that their ADPs are lower. So that's how I feel about it. So I would rather get him at. I'd take other players ahead of him. That's me. I mean, you may see the wide receiver 1 numbers and think that's the guy I want. That's fine, but you have to be.
I do think
you have to be just a little bit cautious. Like Al said, and
risk and reward.
Risk and reward. There is a huge upside because he's got the potential to blow past 200 fantasy points. So you could have a first round 200 point player,
so you can end up with 2
second round, and you're already looking good. I think for a team that's starting to look good.
Yeah,
so
go for your win.
Don't worry
about.
I don't mind him at his ADP, and I totally get it if people pick him. That's fine with me. I mean, he's solid enough.
Okay, 21. At least there's less worry about him. He's fairly steady, but is he overrated, Mike Evans?
No, Mike Evans isn't overrated. Mike Evans has been very, very solid for the last few years. He's a good red zone presence. He's a good athlete. He goes over the middle. He can go down. He can get a deep ball. There's not much to not like about Mike Evans, and he's got a pedigree which you can trust.
Can Godwin eat into his numbers?
I think they can both work well together. In fact, Godwin can only help Evans because he's always needed a bit more.
And
support.
Evans helps Godwin because he takes away the best.
So I think overall this is good for both players, and I like Evans. I think he's very safe. You know you're going to get your 180 plus from him. Nice player here. There's nothing wrong with him.
22 is an interesting player because he's someone that's really split opinion.
Go on then.
Antonio Brown. So you got an elite receiver, but maybe not. Well,
if you look back, we're worth looking at a video. I can't be any more bullish on the player than I was in the video. I'm still the same. Nothing's changed my mind. Look, car through for 4,000 without Brown. Brown can easily give you 11 to 1,200 yards. He can get 6 to 8 or maybe even more touchdowns. That's 100. You're nearly the 180 points. You know, a couple to go the other way, and you're at 180. As safe as you like. It's a safe pick. Brown's solid. I have no problem.
A lot of people saying he isn't safe.
I like him. There's no problem with that. Look, I mean, Carr's got to throw the ball. He's got 4,000 last year. You could argue their team's improved, even if you don't like Josh Jacobs. They've got a better running game than last year. You've got Brown. That's got to improve things. There's some nice weapons to like. The line, I think, is pretty good.
Terrell Williams as well.
Yeah, all, nice compliments all round. It's not like it's that easy to take, go, we'll just cover Brown. That's the end of the Raiders. No, look at it. I mean, you can't just do that anymore. So I do like Brown. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He plays, I think he's great because he's the kind of player that his work ethic's through the roof. I don't like the man's ethos, but I don't have to. It's fantasy. I don't care about that for this. This is give me the 180 fantasy points, please, Brown. And he'll fight for me. And I know when I'm watching him, I feel we've got a connection. When I have him on my teams, I feel like he's fighting for me. Brown, I need 10 yards. He's got it for me. It's coming. I trust him. He's going to do that for me. So I like him at his ADP. I'm happy with him. He's a player that's on my list to go in the second. Quite comfortable with him.
Doug Martin.
Well, I don't have to worry about Doug Martin, do I? So it's not a.
You might have to
at some point. I don't have to worry about him. Anyway, no, I'm solid with Brown. Do you feel the same, or do you think no? Do you have more risks over him?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, I'm slowly coming round to him. The Raiders worry me a lot.
Well, they might, but 4,000 yards from Carr.
He's a great player. I can't
it's not like you're going to argue. I mean, look, if he give you a quarter of those numbers, Brown on his own, 1,000 yards. I mean, of course he could. Could he get 10 touchdowns?
He does.
Of course he could. The worry, of course, is Carr only threw 19 touchdowns last year. Can he improve that number to say 25, 26? That would be logical. So 26, who's the main beneficiary? I think it's going to come through the air game. I think the running game will falter. It's going to just suit Brown beautifully. Brown's the beneficiary of the whole situation. Brown's the guy that's going to want the ball, get the ball, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to show Pittsburgh that they've made a mistake here, and he wants to show Juju up. So in the second round, this is a great pick.
Okay. 23, Damian Williams. Fantastically high-powered offense.
I was
hamstring injury.
I was warming a little bit to him, even with my concern on my Bible, my own draft guide Bible, was that my worry was the sample size wasn't big enough. With his hamstring injury, he's heading more and more down my board all the time. I really worry about him. I'd be more interested in targeting the backups now than I am Damian Williams.
Carlos Hyde?
Other backups, cheaper ones. I want people right down the ADP lists. I'd go on to Thomas. Take a flyer at some of those guys deep down there. Than him, and I just can't trust him right now to stay healthy. He worries me. I'm sure there's a good player there when he plays. I may regret the first few weeks when he comes darting out of the gates, really looking great, but I worry the long term with him. So he's moving down.
He's a prolific fantasy scorer in the small sample size.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
KC.
I was almost at a point where I thought if he stayed healthy, you'd have to move him up your draft board. He was almost should be around one player if he stayed healthy, but. This worries me now to the degree where I can't risk my draft on him if we don't know how bad this hamstring. They're prolifically soft tissue injuries prolifically hang around, and reoccurrence is 50-50. Yeah, I'm not going into the start of the season with a player that may not start and then loses the job. I'm just not doing that to my fantasy team. No, I'm gonna just
23. You still wouldn't?
No, I'm letting other people take the risks.
Really?
Yeah, I'll move on. I've got other players.
You'll take this next guy, George Kittle.
No chance. Tight ends, no hope. No, sorry.
You're not a fan of an early tight end,
no. I'm not doing it either.
24.
Look, if somebody wants to take a tight end early, first round or second round, good luck to them, yeah? Really good. I mean, in a small league, 8-man, 10-man league, maybe you get away with that. But these bigger leagues, you can't tell me that that's a sound fantasy move. You just can't convince me.
Well, the experts are telling you that.
Listen, I've run
Someone's going at 12.
Let me tell you, I've run the numbers,
12.
right? On thousands of leagues, and you know this is true, right? And there's so few leagues that you win by taking a tight end. So few that you took a tight end in those first 3 rounds. I mean, it is almost negligible. So that you could argue, is that because everybody's gone running back, wide receiver combination or a quarterback? Yes, it is. But there's a reason why they come out miles ahead, point scoring wise, miles ahead, and that's because it's not about scarcity position with tight ends. That isn't the scarcity position. That is just, most of them are packed players. They're mostly blockers. You have the odd exception. Kelsey certainly going to be the tight end number 1. You can't say for certain Kittle will repeat.
Jimmy G wasn't a quarterback last year.
You can't say he's going to repeat.
That is a bit of a risk.
You just can't say he's going to repeat. No, just no chance of it. You can't guarantee that. And second round premium is a big premium, and I'm not paying it.
Okay, 25. You're kind of a fan of him, T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, always solid, in and around the numbers. I think I'm a little bit happier if he dropped into that third round territory. I'd be more comfortable, to be honest.
The third round in a 12 team.
Yeah, it's okay in a 12 team. You can live with it. 10 team, you can live with it because you're only looking for 160 at that point, and that is perfectly fine. He can give you that. You're safe, very, very safe for it. But in the bigger league, you need a 180. He's probably a little underpowered, but he's pretty solid when he plays. He did have a small amount of injury time lost over a couple of years, but it's such a small amount.
And the next player is Keenan Allen. Would you sort of...
Well, I think his ADP is cheap. I mean, this is the thing with Keenan. I mean, I can't knock how cheap this guy's becoming. I mean,
you're not a fan of his, though, are you?
I'm not a huge fan because every time I own him, he gets injured. And it's freak injuries, out with a lacerated kidney, stomach torn in half or whatever.
Freak yachting accident.
I mean, before the season starts, so he's one that I kind of always have other players around him that I prefer. But at that ADP, I can't argue if somebody takes him there.
I want you to take him there.
I can't argue if other people take him there at that ADP. I'm just saying it's very solid.
Moving on. Yeah. 27, Marlon Mack.
Well, it's this is a weird player, isn't it? I mean, my concerns with him are very simple.
Weird, why? Explain what you mean.
Well, he can do two down work beautifully, right? Yeah. So he can give you the two down work and some touchdowns to go with it. All right, standardly we're talking about with this Saturday. He's got to give you 180. I think he can do that in a standard league just. He doesn't do enough in the air. If he could catch 30, 40 passes, then we're talking a running back one by definition.
But they've got a player that does that.
But they have a guy that does that and does it really well. And he's actually he's getting better at it, actually, and has got a great chemistry with Andrew Luck. And bailed Andrew Luck out of the proverbial crapper a couple of times last year with his going into space moves, and Andrew had somebody to dump off to at the last minute, which when you look at the evidence was exceptionally good because Andrew Luck was able to get rid of the ball. He had the perfect man to dump it off to, and he would often get 7-8 yards or more.
Especially in that hurry-up offense,
brilliant
when they've got to move the ball. He's going to be part of the...
The only thing is as well, that this is the other concern with a player like that, is that you begin... The same thing that happens...
Would you be happy to take Marlon Mack at 27?
He's okay at 27. I mean, it's not one that I would say no to because it's safe.
You're not a big.
It's just not. It's not like when you want to win in fantasy, there's a greediness to it. Like if you want to beat the numbers, you want a player that can explode past, give you miles more. 30, 40 points more would be great because if you got 4 or 5 of those producing 40 or 50 points more, you're going to be a massively producing team that's going to blow away the competition, or should, unless the schedule is horrible. You will destroy your opponents.
He does have the odd injury issue as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And
seems to miss a couple of games.
My worry with him is that the two down work, when you're paying the kind of premium that you're going to pay, it just isn't good enough. But it's not a swerve. It's safe. It's okay. I'm not worried about him. He's
28,
right.
Amari Cooper.
Well, I think this has proved a point. I mean, there was a debate.
If Zeke didn't play, would that affect Amari Cooper?
No, I think it helps.
What?
I think it helps him because you've got to spray the ball around. That's what's going to happen more with Dak. Dak will be asked to do more running. If that's the case, they'll bring in the Butler probably as the number one, and we'll see if the rookies have an opportunity, a few relief chances for the rookies, see if any of them are more special. See if they're any more special than they appear, and they might be. And then they might not need Alfred Morris as much. He's really insurance. But while that's all going on, then there'll be more opportunities.
Morris is a
Amari Cooper is a fabulous player for this year in the second round. A good safe pick. 180 points is on the cards for him, I think, but no more. So it's a safe player. It's not a swerve, but it's not exciting either. He's about at the highest point that your ceiling allows. I mean, I'm not adverse to it there because you need a wide receiver one. He's good. He's going to give you those numbers sometimes, and maybe sometimes explode past them. He certainly has some huge weeks from time to time. And in Dallas, with Dak and him, they have a great chemistry, and I don't think we can deny that based on what we saw last year, and it was a good sample size.
Okay, so it's a small thumbs up for Amari Cooper. Aaron Jones?
Love him. Yeah, I do love him.
29?
I'm not going to deny that. I think he's really, really good value down here at 29. If you can get shares of him at 29 ADP, you take those. I don't think there's anything really to discuss. It's a high-octane offense with Green Bay. Aaron Jones, they realised they weren't using him well enough. Okay, he didn't get 180 last year.
He shed a load of muscle, fat.
Fat, yeah. It's not a problem. He plays a perfect frame size for a running back one, is what you're looking for. Can he beat his numbers? Yes, he can. Is there a risk-reward here with this player? There potentially is. There is a risk because he hasn't done it before, so he hasn't hit 180. So there is a risk, but I do like him. I do think he can beat 180. I'm excited to see what he does this year on that offense. And I think he'll be given a run. So we'll see how that pans out for him.
Now, number 30 is interesting.
Yeah.
On your bus list last year, Leonard Fournette.
Still on the bus list, never going off it. I don't need to tell you about it.
Though.
Don't need to tell you about Leonard Fournette.
You do?
No, you don't need to know. You've
I
watched
do
the
need to know.
bold prediction last year. We made it clear it was a bust for last year. A lot of people would argue that that was mental. It wasn't. It was true. He has a lot of issues still hanging over him. They haven't gone away. There are even more red flags this year than there were last year. Let me tell you why. Firstly, the off-season stuff that's been going on with him and the team. The team are almost given up with him, frankly. Right? That's just the truth of it.
I thought they sort of
this is a make or break.
Made up a bit now.
This is a make or break year for him. If he goes off and gets injured again because of these lower ankle injuries that he's been suffering with, the foot issues that he has hanging over him, he's got a problem. His frame is too big for his size, and there's nothing he can do about it. And this is just going to keep lingering. So you take Leonard Fournette, and it's always the talk of, oh, look what he can do for me. Look what the potential.
He's a potential 3 down back, though,
potentially, but he's equally the quickest route out of the fantasy door in your league, the fastest route to failure, because it could be you've wasted the pick.
So I thought him and Tom Coughlin had sort of made up now. They did have their sort of spat. And
I don't think anything. I don't think it's made up. I think it's made up under proviso. Let's see what he does. I mean, yeah, there's potentially when he plays he's great, but
they didn't really.
He missed 50% of last year.
They didn't really strengthen that much. I mean, they brought in Alfred Blue. He's not really a.
His ADP hasn't dropped far enough to be valid at this point.
They brought in Raquel Armstead.
That guy's got to fall much further. For me, he's got to fall much further. So I'm not going anywhere near Fournette, and I would recommend that you do the same. Let other people take those risks. You go to other players. Don't risk it on this guy. He ain't going to deliver any of those numbers. Certainly not. I can make a bet with anybody out there to now, right? And it's not based on injury. You can take Leonard Fournette's best 8 games if you like, and I'll match him up against Aaron Jones, and we'll see who wins that one. But it will not be Leonard Fournette, right? That's just not going to happen. So I'm not backing him. I'm not supporting him. He has not proved it. So why would you want to risk your draft on a guy like this that's just going to proverbially let you down? And in those big leagues, this is your second pick. And it seems simple, doesn't it? Oh, I've got Saquon Barkley at 1 and I've managed to put Leonard Fournette as my number 2.
Yeah, 2-3 down backs.
Sounds great till he doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then you haven't got a good wide receiver to go with, not having a good second running back, then it becomes a real problem.
Okay, number 31, Adam Thielen.
I mean, can't deny what a good tear-up he was on till he got injured last year.
Very good. He was wide receiver 1.
He looks great in camp again. He looks full back from the injury. He's cutting beautifully. Looks brilliant. We just saw him turn someone's ankles over in camp, which looked fantastic. It was almost like a basketball move he put on a player, and they were going one way, he went the other, and they just had no feet left under them, and they fell over. I mean, he is that good. The trouble is, I think you're paying the absolute premium price for him. I mean, I get it. But it's absolute premium price.
But if he was wide receiver 1 till he went down,
yeah,
then 31 isn't a premium price.
It's still high. He has to stay healthy for the full 16 games. It's a solid pick. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying swerve. I'm saying it's okay. It's just I think there are other players that you can probably pick that you can feel more confident
like
about.
This next guy. You love him.
Okay.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, like him. Yeah. No.
Oh,
I don't like him either. You're probably seeing how big my bust list is, actually. It's quite serious. But you have to be this confident. I think one of the things is you've got to know in your own mind what you want to do, because if you don't, then the problem is you just pick players based on ADP and they let you down. Thielen was okay, last pick. This guy's absolute no chance for me. Look, the sample game size where he blew up, right? He had one great game. He produced. If you put the video out, take a look at the Derrick Henry video. That about nails it. My flags to that mask. 25% of all his stats, rushing and touchdowns, come from one game last year. And the rest of the time was some very mediocre under 60 yards.
47 fantasy points.
Well, that's fabulous.
Well, it mattered as well.
1 week, yeah. And that's great if you could predict that. I wish it was that easy. You could just predict when that somebody's going to do that. He's just totally unreliable. And that Tennessee offense is just a mess.
So you don't want any.
So I'm not having anything to do with them. Let other people take Derrick Henry. Let them have the problem of, does he give me 4 points?
He's also been in a walking boot, which isn't ideal.
No, it's not. And again, is he absolutely a 3-down back? That is the question that will linger over him. He's not. So again, I would say avoid him.
He's all right, but Dion Lewis is going to catch
big lead. That's your second running back off the board, and maybe you're happy with that, and that maybe he has the kind of year you're looking for. But for me, I'm not risking him.
Hey, Alex Barnes has got a bit of love recently.
He will do now. Yeah, with all this going on, absolutely. And you made that pick, didn't you, in the deep rookie
Yeah,
class? So that's a good pick.
So
we might sound very negative on some of these players in the top 32, but we're doing that for a reason. There's a stat that came out actually this week, and this is why I'm so hard on players, right? And this backs me up, funny enough. This guy said to me, what I like is that you are very clear on what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And he said the thing is that's interesting with that is he said that most analysts will tell you about the whole list and that, I like them and I like them because their ADP is in the right range. But they forget that 50% of all the top targets bust every year. Agree with that so much. That's something we lose sight of in fantasy.
And finding them is part of the skill of playing.
That's part of the skill. I mean, I'm not saying injuries. Look, and this guy raised that point. He said, but you can't mitigate injuries. I agree with that. But if you think it's 50%, but let's say that out of that 50%, that piece, that you knew that player had an injury history, you weren't touching him anyway. So you were actually lowering the chance of failure by knowing that 50%.
Yeah, so he's trying to...
So you're trying to mitigate that 50%,
risk, yeah.
Which is why I'm so boyish around certain players and not about others, because I want them to get to the starting line. I want them to reach the finishing line. Now, if a player goes down injured that I had no metrics on, that I didn't know was going to happen, I can live with that. I say this all the time. I'm okay with that because no one's going to turn around and say, they might laugh and go, oh, bad luck for your year. That's fine. But you can't then say, well, you should have knew it was coming.
That's cruel.
Yeah, you would. You knew it was coming. You should have seen it was there. I get that. It's the same with like talking buoyantly about Dalvin Cook. There is a risk with that one, and guarantee there is, because if you take him, if I do take a Dalvin Cook, I know that I've put the risk on my team, and I have to live with that risk, and I know it's there. But if he pans out to do what I think he can, then I'm okay with that, and I'll have proved that I got the risk reward right. But if I got it wrong, then maybe this is his last year anyway. So these are the kind of things you have to weigh up.
It's always next year.
It's always next year, yeah.
And that's the top 32. Just outside there, we got Devonta Freeman, Kerryon Johnson, Stefan Diggs.
I think it might be worth doing a round 3, because just purely to give people roughly those sort of 4.5, 5 rounds worth of drafting, it'd be pretty useful. What do you think?
Yeah, because the early rounds are very important.
Yeah, so we'll come back and do a third part to this. You don't have to watch them all in one go, but it's worth it if you're about to draft. I think these are the videos to see right now.
Yeah, because we literally tell you about every player, or at least Sean's opinion on every player. So, if you've enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you agree, tell us. If you disagree,
then please tell us. We've had some great people putting some great feedback on certain players and giving their opinion on why it's worth a counter argument or a thought process. I'm not knocking some of those. Some of those are actually very strong and make you think again. But one thing actually thinking on that was mentioned, which was very true, and I forgot to mention this. We talked about Gurley. Just the last point actually on there. Sorry to beat the dead horse here. They've got the hardest running schedule as well. Just thought I'd throw that in there just before people forget it, because that's very important to mention that. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a good point. It always matters, things like that.
Matters a lot. So,
Baltimore Ravens have got the best one, apparently.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll talk about their running back in the next one.
Hope so. Yeah, we'll do that in the next one. Thanks.
Give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Got more stuff, good stuff coming. Part 3 to this.
Certainly the numbers are climbing. The comments help, and we always reply. So thanks very much.
And thanks for watching.